Hey y'all, it's Editing Trooth back in the editing booth. I just kind of wanted to jump in front of this one and, once again remind you that I shot most of this video in July. And normally I would not make a video that's as negative as this one is gonna be. Normally I don't want to just talk about manga that I'm losing interest in and that I think are worth a drop for me. Also, I know that at least 2 of the manga I'm talking about in this episode are very beloved series, and I don't want to come across like I'm a big contrarian or that I'm just like trying to harvest hate clicks with this video. It's genuinely just my personal experiences and opinions. If you love these series, I don't hold any of that against anybody, why would I? If you think they're great, then I think that's great. I am of course very aware that at the moment the anime of Frieren is airing right now, and people are absolutely in love with it, which is why I'm a little fearful going into this video. But I must also reason that this anime is being done by Madhouse, and I think they will probably be elevating the artwork a lot more than anybody could reasonably ever have expected. And B, the parts of the story that are occurring in this anime are corresponding to the volumes when I was still totally on board with the series. So I'm kind of wondering if a lot of people are going to stick with it for way longer, beyond season 1, or if more people are going to kind of go in the direction that I'm going in regards to opinions about that series. Anyway, if you love any of these series that I'm about to tell you that I have dropped, feel free to tell me it gets way better after the point where I stopped, and I am totally open to resuming them in the future. Anyway, now get ready to just watch me utterly trash them for the next 10 or 15 minutes. Hope you enjoy that. So a follow-up on a series that I mentioned starting in my previous video was Blue Box. I have read 3 volumes of that series now. I think 4 or 5 are out in print. Sad to say, I think I'm gonna drop this series. It's just not what I'm looking for right now, I don't think. Admittedly, it is kind of a series that is outside of my comfort zone in multiple ways. It's both a sports manga and a youth romance manga, both of which are things I don't read a lot of. So as an outsider to those genres, this one has just kind of fallen into the cliches that I perceived as an outsider that have kind of kept me out of those genres. If you are a regular reader of those genres, then my opinions here are probably going to sound very reductive and simplistic, so apologies for that, but everybody comes at a series from a different perspective. Everybody is looking for different things when they get into a series, and I hope you will not let my experiences invalidate your experiences if this is a series that you love. Anyway, the thing that keeps me out of a lot of sports manga, or just sports stories in general, is that I feel like the driving force of the protagonist is always basically, I want to do the best at the sport, and the obstacles that they face are generally just, other people might be better at the sport than me, I have to get better at the sport. And that is about the depth of the sports conflict that I saw in the first 3 volumes of Blue Box. I've never really been an athlete, I've never really been into sports, and so that's not a conflict that I find much relatability in. I feel like I could potentially see more relatability in the romance aspect of it, but even then, it's I don't see a great chemistry between, well, really any characters in this series so far. The main guy is just kind of like, I want to date the pretty girl. Why does he want to date the pretty girl? Well, 'cause she's pretty, I guess. She also is good at a sport, and is determined to do good at the sport, like me, who wants to do good at the sport. You know, the first chapter introduced kind of an interesting twist on their relationship, which is they went from just being classmates to living together through a series of circumstances. And so that seemed to introduce potential conflict of him being like, oh gosh, I don't want everybody at school to see us walking home together and think that we're dating, in case that's not what the pretty girl wants people to think of her. We'd better keep our living arrangement a secret. But then, you know, one or two characters do find out about this, and then it's like, it's not that big a deal. Everybody just kind of gets it. And there isn't really much of a romance that springs up between the main characters, because the main guy is just kind of like, oh golly, I'd better not ask her out because we live together and that could make our living arrangement really awkward. I'm gonna set a personal goal that I need to do really good at the sport before I allow myself to ask her out. And like, I don't know, there's like a vague love triangle plot where like an underclassman girl also has a crush on main guy, but it just, I don't know, the characters don't seem that interesting to me. I don't think I could tell you a single personality trait of the like main love interest pretty girl character. The main guy also doesn't have much of a personality outside of, I want to do good at the sport, and I'd better train hard. Like I said, I don't think this series is going to have anything that I'm looking for in a manga. So it is, for the foreseeable future, on hold for me. I don't know if I will be continuing it anymore. Moving on from there, I talked in the past about this series called Frieren, or Frieren Beyond Journey's End. It's going to have an anime coming out, I believe, in September of this year. I'll probably give that a watch, just to kind of see how it is, but after the 7th volume of the series, I kind of think I'm gonna drop this one. If not, you know, put it on indefinite hold. And I kind of aired my general complaints about it in my last update video. It's just kind of that I feel like a lot of the time it doesn't really live up to the emotional potential that it could. I think it kind of writes some emotional checks that it doesn't fill. I think it doesn't explore this idea of an immortal character surrounded by mortal characters as deeply as it could. I think the art, while it looks pretty, doesn't have a lot of variety and isn't very expressive. The action scenes don't look very interesting on the page. And so, you know, it's a series that I think is just brimming with potential and just never really, like, fully realizing it. I would much rather read a series like To Your Eternity if I'm going to be reading a fantasy series about an immortal main character. Alright, this is kind of an odd situation we have for the next manga. I read this series earlier this year, but I forgot to talk about it for some reason when I was recording this in July. So I'm doing a quick re-record in December. I promise I was reading this earlier this year. I actually bought all 3 volumes of Rooster Fighter. I was absolutely loving this for all of these first 3 volumes, and just kind of lost interest over time. I thought, you know, when I read volume 1, this is going to be something where I'm going to buy every volume that ever comes out. I was a little put off by the fact that it is still an ongoing series. because I don't know how much longevity you can really get out of a concept like Rooster Fighter. Because after like 3 volumes of it, I kind of felt like it was just kind of retreading a lot of the same jokes. I was like, yeah, I get it, he's an unexpected hero. Nobody expects the rooster to be a badass and to be able to fight demons. There's a little bit of variety added to it by the fact that there's like a hen character who comes in and fights with this like electric baton, and there's also this like baby chick character that becomes sort of a sidekick to both of them. And so I kind of thought for a little while I would probably drop Rooster Fighter, but I might reconsider that because as of a few days ago, I decided to finally read Volume 4. I haven't bought it, but Volume 4 kind of got me interested again because it wasn't just like yet another series of events of the rooster fighting giant demons, but instead Volume 4 introduced his long-lost half-brother and suggested they might have this rivalry, or they might need to form an alliance. That made it pretty entertaining again, but I don't know if I'm going to continue buying volumes. We just got Volume 5 in the Manga Cafe as of like a day or two ago, so I might go on and read Volume 5 beyond this, but I don't know, unless things like go in a very different, unexpected direction, it's probably going to at least be demoted from an always buy series for me to like a will read on break at the Manga Cafe series for me. And time will tell if it returns to that always buy status or if it gets demoted further to a not reading this one anymore series. I also became aware as of Volume 4 that I think some of the character names are like references to famous fighting manga. Like the main rooster character is named Keiji, and I learned that Keiji is also the name of a manga made by the artist who made Fist of the North Star. I think Tetsuo Hara is his name, and I think it's written by Buronson. And the half-brother character who gets introduced in the 4th volume is named Keisuke, which is the first name of the artist who makes Baki. So I'm betting that those are probably intentional references, which is, you know, another pretty cool thing about the series. But yeah, when you see my winter recap coming early 2024, maybe you will hear more about Rooster Fighter. We'll see. Once again, extending a very special thanks to my certified Trooth fairies. If you want to be as great as them, you can give me $1 on Patreon. If you think that my videos and or Twitch streams are worthwhile. Even if you only do it once, you will have my gratitude forever. Anyway, now I'm going to turn it over to Charlie, who's going to tell you about his dropped manga for this year.